like it though.
I don't have the patience for that.
I really like it. She cuts off her titties.
That alone would make me like it.
Yep. Welcome to Read It and Screech.
For Tao and Sarah, I could not do this without you, and I wouldn't even want to.
The podcast.
I just said it.
Yeah, but you do it so bad. Put some enthusiasm on it.
First, if I have no enthusiasm for this, also that was dog shit.
You wait. You have no idea how accurate that sentiment exactly was. If you're too loud, you can sit with us while I give you the Cliff's Notes and the cringiest quotes, and we go screeching all the way. I'm Grace, and this is my co-host, Ava.
Stop. I was listening to that again, and I was like, there's genuinely no reason for you to use my name in this at all.
I say Ava.
You should just say, I'm Read It and this is Screech. That would be a hilarious tagline.
It literally wouldn't.
It would be hilarious.
It sounds like the tagline of a bad kids show.
Yeah. And then people would be like, this is hilarious.
And they would try to listen with their children.
No, they would be like, it's like when people are funny and then you find out their names like 20 years later. Like Zaboomafoo dudes. And then they're like, do you remember the Zaboomafoo?
There's a lot of vibes that I'm going for, and Zaboomafoo is not one of them.
People loved those guys, and they got 2 shows.
Kids loved those guys.
No.
And that is not our demographic. This week, we present Bride by Ali Hazelwood.
I don't want to. Immediately, no.
Are you familiar with Ali Hazelwood?
No.
She's very successful. Having a moment.
So definitely not my genre.
Having a moment.
Being successful.
She has a PhD in neuroscience.
Definitely not me.
By the way, it was 416 pages. It felt way shorter than that. The audio was 12 hours and 47 minutes. Narrated by Therese Plummer and Will Dameron. Goodreads score of 4.1.
I don't believe Goodreads for a fucking second.
Well,
they're lying.
I think that's one of the highest Goodreads ratings we've ever had.
I think that Goodreads is like Amazon reviews and someone's getting paid to just type shit.
Definitely. I will say I felt that the 4.1 were warranted. It was very good. I loved it. It's an urban fantasy with werewolves and vampires with a Y.
Vampires. That's how the Vampire Academy spells it, I think. They say vampires.
The way that she kind of sets it up is that it's all scientific. There's not like a ton of magic or anything. It's just that vampires and werewolves are different breeds. Just like there's different kinds of people.
Racist?
Yeah, basically. As far as I know, they have normal lifespans. And they just have like slightly different features than humans would have. The only ding I would typically give this kind of story is that they do have the fated mate trope, which I'm so fucking sick of. I feel like people use that as a cop-out for developing a relationship. No, they just have to like each other. I hate it. But she doesn't do that. She makes it work, I think, the best she could in this story.
The best she could for parameters she set for herself.
Yes. It is set in a fictional city with basically like 3 districts. The werewolf, the vampire with a Y, and the human with a U.
Shadowhunters much, but okay.
And none of them really get along with each other.
Pop off. Shadowhunters again. True Blood. These are...
I don't give a fuck.
You shouldn't have read this one to me then. I've seen too many of these.
I thought of that. I was like, oh, doing a vampire story with the vampire queen. So it's mostly first-person POV with occasional third-person narration from the guy's point of view.
I hate that shit.
It's fine, though. It's not bad. So we have 2 main characters and then like 2 secondary ones that matter. The first one is Lo Moreland. He's the newish alpha of the werewolf pack, the local werewolf pack. He challenged the old alpha who was strict and violent, and he became the new leader. He's progressive and trying to barter peace between the 3 groups.
I don't like it.
Okay, the main female character is a vampire with a Y, lady.
Wait, so he's a werewolf and she's a vampire.
Yeah. She's an IT whiz, 25 years old. She was raised in human territory as their collateral. So they have a system, these 3 groups, initially the vampires and the humans especially, where they take a child from each other's like important families and they trade them as collateral to like make this kind of like hostile peace bargain. Cause like if you do anything, we're gonna fuck up your child. She and her brother are the children of the local vampire governor, delegate to the Vampire Council. And so when she was 10, she was traded to the humans as that season's collateral. And up until recently, she was living with her human roommate. Human roommate being Serena, her best friend. She's a human with a U, journalist.
Human.
And former roommate. She was an orphan. And so they snatched her up to live with Misery, when she was a kid in hopes that she would make Misery less weird.
Who's Misery?
Did I not say Misery was the name of the main lady?
No.
Oh, we have Misery, the main female character, who's a vampire lady, IT whiz, etc. Serena is the friend, human journalist. Instead of Misery becoming less weird because she had a human friend, they both became weird, more so together. So that plan backfired. More recently, she's gone missing after a big fight in which she yelled at Misery for only caring about her and not trying to go live her life and make other friends. The last somewhat meaningful character is Owen. He's Misery's twin brother. He is only okay. Again, their dad is like the head vampire.
He also have a stupid name?
Owen.
Oh, okay. One of my kids' name is Owen and the other one's name is Misery. Miserable Owen. Like, what the
Literally.
That makes perfect sense.
A little more background. Misery is trying to find out what happened to Serena, who left her cat behind and never showed up at Misery's house to help her with a fitted sheet. The only clue she was able to find is a torn out page from Serena's planner with initials L.E. Moreland. Woo! So, chapter 1.
We're not starting off strong.
I really enjoyed this book. Yes, go give us nothing.
Fuck! No, it starts off with a death rattle, you know?
Misery is at work at her human job. She works third shift.
Oh, look at me. I am human. I go to work. I am sad. Have you seen that dog?
No.
Oh, there's a dog that's like trying to walk on its hind legs. Thorn sends it to me all the time and it goes, look at me. I'm a human. I go to work. I have a job. I have depression.
She works third shift doing IT support and keeps to herself. Her dad's chief of staff comes and blows up her spot, revealing that she's a vampire.
Does it actually blow her up?
You know what blowing up someone's spot means, right?
Like with a grenade? Like,
no.
So still boring!
No. She reveals to Misery's coworkers that she's a vampire, and so she has to quit on the spot and then go meet with Dad. Dad is a mega ass and tells her that they
Is
need...
it like iZombie where it's obvious to everyone watching?
Yeah. Literally.
She's got a pale face and shit. She doesn't go out during the day.
Well, no, she files her fangs down and she like covers her ears.
Oh, so like the guy from Bright.
Sure.
He files all his teeth down.
Her dad tells her that they need someone to marry off to the
Of course! I sold you to One Direction!
To the Were Alpha, basically, as like a new kind of collateral, because they haven't had collateral with the werewolves before. And they're like, we're gonna try something new. We're gonna try something out. She says, no, fuck you and the pussy you came from, until he tells her that the guy's name is Lo Moreland. And then suddenly she's like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Because the initials on the note she found being L.E. Moreland. So they get married like the next day. And it's awkward and full of all the politicians rubbing their hands together and scheming their schemes.
I thought you were going to say rubbing their hands on her. So it's still a step up.
Well, kind of. She overhears that Lo had a mate and that she was sent off to the vampires as their reverse collateral. So that's another layer of awkward to their marriage. They dance together and he seems disgusted by her smell. And he knows about her childhood because they read each other's files before the wedding. So he's not fond of her dad off the bat because he realizes that this is the second time that he's sold his daughter off. Sad that she smells like sewage to him because he smells good to her. He asks why she agreed to the marriage and she doesn't tell him about the missing friend. She's like, well, you know, just cause. So she goes to live with him in his nice house. And is woken up in the morning in the closet because she sleeps in the closet just in case so the sunlight doesn't hit her.
Okay.
Some little random girl wakes her up and tells her that you stole my room.
I like to sleep in the closet.
Turns out that this is Lo's little sister. So Misery is not fond of kids and she's a bitch to the little girl, but makes conversation because she's the only person around to talk to. She says this just confirms her decision not to have kids. This little girl poking around. She does talk to the police about Serena being missing, but they brush her off because women. She's loosely on house arrest for her and their protection. They don't let her have a phone or the internet, so she can't contact anyone or hack into anything. That's fine because she didn't have anyone to talk to anyway. Some little fuck-ass teen finds her in the house and corners her and tries to attack her. And she's good at self-defense, so she kind of like fights him off. But of course, this whole interaction pisses off Lo. The little prick says that she was the aggressor and tried to attack him, not vice versa. So she's been trying to be an NPC about this because she just wants to fly under the radar and look into her friend being missing. So she just kind of fucks around for the next week. That little girl, whose name turns out to be Anna, comes to see her all the time. She still doesn't like kids, but it's better than nothing. Anna steals...
It's not, but okay. Pop off.
Anna steals Serena's cat and names it Sparkles. And Misery doesn't give a shit. She just lets the cat go because she also hates cats. So she makes a plan to start looking into Serena's disappearance and starts by sneaking into Lo's bedroom. She doesn't find much, but she finds that he wears a size 14 in shoes. She also finds a giant bottle of lube and a sketchbook with her picture in it.
Because those two things go hand in hand.
The hand on wheel.
You and I go fishing in the dark. Or
So-
however that song goes.
She goes back to her room and sees that they're having a huge werewolf potluck outside. Notable, they're eating copious amounts of coleslaw. She watches them and wonders if she should go down there, but it's daytime, so she'll get burned, and also no one likes her. She sees from her vantage point that the little prick from earlier is luring Anna away from the party. So she says, fuck no, I'll just get a sunburn, and bolts out of the house to catch them. She says, what are you doing with a 6-year-old in the woods?
Ooh.
And there's a commotion, and all the werewolves like jump out of the trees and screaming, crying, throwing up. They put the little prick, like they pull them apart, take him into the house, and he won't tell them who sent him to steal the little girl. But she glamours him with her vampire talents, and he says that he was sent by one of the werewolf packs in a different city. So it turns out that the werewolves had set this whole thing up to see like who he was going to take her to, and she is rightfully skeezed out by them using a little kid and their weird sting of this guy. So she continues her snooping later in Lowe's office and hacks into his computer. He catches her immediately, and they find out that she was searching Serena's name and such in their system. So she finally tells him about her going missing. So he believes her. So this is where she learns that his initials aren't L.E. Moreland, but Anna's are, because Anna is short for Liliana. So they decide to work together because they're obviously looking into the same things. They chat about it while snacking in the kitchen. Vampires don't have to eat real food, but she does shamefully snack sometimes since she's lived with the humans for most of her life. So basically, after she was done with her collateral stuff, she didn't go back to the vampires because she was kind of put off by the fact that they sent her away in the first place, and she was just used to being around humans at that point. So he tells her that Anna is his half-sister. I will give you a spoiler and tell you that she's not also Misery's half-sister like happened in Hooked, where they shared a sibling. So I'll just go ahead and put your mind at ease. They're not related. But his mom had her with a human married man after his dad died. And this is very hush-hush because it's never happened. Like that two species had a offspring. And they don't know what's going to happen if the werewolves find out. So they kind of keep it hush-hush that she's only half werewolf and then the other half is human. So now that they know why she's snooping around, they let her work with his IT people, but she always has to have supervision. In the evening, she has a run-in with one of his leaders who was running around the woods naked under the full moon. So she casually sits with her in the nude and apologizes for not being welcoming when she got there. While Misery tries not to be fazed by her tits being out. It's nice that she's slowly making friends. Anna starts coming to sleep with her in the closet when Lo is out of town, and it makes her let her braid her hair and hang out with her. Lo finds him and he's pissy that he couldn't find Anna in her own room. Misery says, piss off, look at these horrible braids that your sister did. They plan to go visit the other werewolf faction in order to hack into their system and see what they've been up to regarding stealing Anna. Of course, Misery wants to go, but she's just a lady, so they say no.
It's just a baby. I can pay with walks.
Oh my god, how did I miss it? When they were snacking earlier, Misery was digging into a jar of peanut butter with her bare hands.
Ooh,
That is important in a minute.
no. I would have immediately stopped reading.
I know. Maybe that's why I left
A
it out.
bridge too far for me.
Okay. That night, they run into each other on the roof and bond over their lives, and she talks Lo into letting her come with them.
I can smell it.
So they leave for their little trip, and turns out he's also a pilot. Surprise. So he flies them there.
It's not hard, actually. People act like, oh, that's bad. It's really.
No, it's just weird because he's an architect and a planet.
That's
and
why there's so many fucking
pilot
plane crashes. You should never.
and an alpha.
FYI, if anyone ever invites you on a private plane, don't go.
I was never going to
Because
go.
it's like being like, I can drive a boat. Like, it's just.
Here's your learner's permit.
Really,
Bye.
literally, just get in.
Mhm.
They crash constantly.
So before they leave, his staff tells her that if something goes wrong, it's her job to sacrifice herself for him if necessary.
Who's that?
Since he's the alpha.
He said that?
No, his staff are like, they pull her to the side and they're like,
Bitch, okay.
by the way. She says, I'm not doing that.
Right.
She's like,
Try me.
nah. When they land where they're going, he tells her that he's going to have to mark her. So it looks like they're actually together because of like all the smells and such.
Immediately, no.
And I don't know what she thought marking would entail, but it's basically just heavy petting in the cockpit of the plane. Lots of nipping and licking.
Fuck no.
So they meet up with the lady and this other faction who's been supposedly behind all this weird stuff with Anna. And they end up in a room with only one bed, but nothing happens. The next day, they sneak into the werewolf lady's office under the guise that Misery needs to feed. And they're about to get caught. And the only way to cover is to actually have her feed from him. Of course, it's hot and heavy and she dry humps him till she comes and he creams his jeans. You have to
No,
say a word.
I hate it. I want to go home. I don't like it.
They get home and Anna has the flu. No one knows what to do because they don't get human illnesses. So Misery gives her a damn Tylenol and miracle of miracles, it makes her feel better. Owen calls her and shits on her for feeding from her husband because he says it's going to make them feel attached to each other. And he says, why don't you just fuck like normal people do, you nasty freak? She feels bad, so she decides to have a snack. Can you guess what it is?
Is it peanut butter with her hand?
Peanut butter with her hand. Lo is with her and she
Fucking
passes out in front of him.
disgusting. Oh my god.
Turns out the peanut butter was poisoned.
Good. It was me, by the way. It was me. I did it. I poisoned that shit.
No one knows if it was meant for Misery or Anna because not a lot of people know Misery's little dirty secret that she likes peanut butter. While recovering, the doctor tells her she's just going to have to feed even more to get better. Lowick walks in on her in the bath and fingers her and then eats her out in her little closet.
No!
They're interrupted before he can put it in.
By the child, the only other person that knows she sleeps there?
No, by her brother.
Worse.
On FaceTime.
Don't answer it!
She does. He tells her that them fucking is bestiality and that they are disgusting.
Fair.
But he just told her to just fuck. And then she did it. And he was like, you're disgusting. He says that Serena's apartment was broken into and that he needs to meet with her in person when they're done with all their weird fucking. So Misery tells Lo after she gets off the phone that
I'm in misery.
She tells him that Owen said that she shouldn't feed off him anymore. And she feels like
Well, since my brother said I can't, I guess I can't.
She says she shouldn't get any more emotionally entangled with him since he already has a mate. He says, no, it's fine. We're obviously into each other. So they do it again. And they're all horny. But he says they can't fuck, basically because he will not, get it? Not.
Ew!
Because he will KNOT not. And who knows what that will do to her werewolf vagina. I mean, sorry, her vampire vagina.
I'm sorry, what will that do to my fucking eyes, ears, mouth, nose, brain, sense of everything? Like,
so they go eat at the governor's house and find out a little bit more about Serena, but not much. It's not looking good for Serena, though, because, like, she had some information on Anna, and she was a reporter. So they're wondering, did she find out that Anna was half, and she was, like, going to do a story on it, which wouldn't look great for Serena to do that. They meet with Owen after, and he's disgusted by them. She notices...
Same, man.
She notices that there isn't really any chemistry between Lo and the girl who's with Owen, who's supposed to be the werewolf collateral, which is weird because they're supposed to have been mates. Owen says that he's planning to take over their dad's place on the vampire council because their dad is an antiquated old fart. So after their little meeting, Misery puts it together that the vampire collateral wasn't really Lo's mate. She was just a volunteer who they let everyone think was his mate so that it would be believable. They go back to her old apartment and finally fuck. But because they can't let him come in her and break her vagina, he just edges and comes on her back.
What?
She tells him afterwards that she thinks that he's her mate and that's why he knots with her. So apparently werewolves only knot with their mates. And he says, ew, that's not possible. And he can't fathom why she would think that he actually likes her like that. And that is the part that gave me heart palpitations when I was reading it, because why would you like push her so hard to like feed off you and fuck and edge and all that weird shit and then be like, I don't know what you thought this was, being that we're married and being that we're fucking like teenagers. Right.
You thought.
So things are a little bit awkward after, if you can imagine.
Here's where you would have not had me. I would have never spoken to you again, you raggedy bitch.
Could not had you.
You would have never, absolutely not.
A big no.
I would have been like, guess what? You're not ever allowed to look at me again.
Big no.
Wrong answer. Try again.
I'm having heart palpitations. Because she was like...
I'm not the demographic for this book. Try again.
She was so proud of herself for figuring it out. She was like, oh, I'm his mate. That's why we're so attracted to each other. That's why he knots with me. And he was like, you don't know what you're talking about. No. Soon after this, one of his staff members drugs and kidnaps her.
Nibbling piece of shit.
She wakes up in some attic with Serena.
Serena's obviously the bad guy this whole time. How did you not?
Just wait. They have an emotional reunion where Serena tells her that she's actually half werewolf, but she didn't know till recently, and she was afraid to tell anyone. She was also thought that she might die from it. That's why she needed Misery to figure out something else in life to care about, because she was afraid that once her, like, werewolf tendencies started to come out more and more, she may not survive it. They work together to break out of the attic and end up being caught by the lady who blew up her spot at the very beginning. Turns out it was her dad who took Serena to begin with, so Serena's not the bad guy. Dad says he knew Serena was a werewolf the whole time, and that's why he had her be friends with Misery so that they could keep an eye on her as well. He's also the one who poisoned her with that peanut butter. He was hoping that she would die.
Me too, honestly. Same, me and this guy.
So that Lo would be vulnerable and
Thanks
easy.
for making me be on the side of a random man. Love that for us.
What? There's nothing wrong with her. She's a very likable character.
No. Wrong.
I'm just not good at describing her, I guess.
Wrong. Try again.
He was hoping that she would die so that Lo would be vulnerable and easy to manipulate.
Her name is Misery, and that's how I feel. I am in misery.
There's a kerfuffle where Owen and Lo help them escape. Misery's left with nowhere to go, really, because Lo rejected her, and she's never lived with the vampires before. She takes Serena to Lo's house so that she can meet with the other werewolves and finds that he has packed up all her shit. He tells her, basically, when they finally talk, that it's not fair because she's his mate, but it's not biologically possible for him to be her mate because vampires don't have mates. So she's not biologically compatible with him, and he doesn't want to make her feel obligated to him for that. So that's why he was such a big asshole about it.
Okay.
She says, fuck you.
Stupid as hell.
I can make my own decisions.
No, you can't, because you're but a lady.
I'm just a lady. And the reason he had packed up her shit was because he noticed when he was at the at the dad's house, basically, that he had special, like, cling film on the windows to keep the sunlight from hurting them during the day. And so he had just put all her stuff in boxes so that it wouldn't get messed up when the window people were there. So it was just a little miscommunication. So they fuck again, and he knots. And her vagina doesn't break.
No!
And they live happily ever after.
No! I don't live happily ever after because I had to hear this. I'm never going to be happy again. My new name is Misery.
Listen, this author is another one of the authors where, like, all of her books are the same.
Ugh.
But I like them. I've read a lot of them. And I like them. I'm excited, even though I know exactly what's going to happen. Because she does miscommunication.
I hate that
all
shit.
All of her problems are miscommunication. Like, oh, he, like, made a face that she didn't smell good, and really he liked her smell.
You smell like shit.
He
Actually,
like,
I love that smell. I love how shit smells.
Dogs love to roll in shit. What are you talking about?
It's me, our dog.
So where are they now?
Obviously, they're fucking fine. They're happily ever after, and I'm miserable.
They're stuck together in a knot form. I have a couple of issues with this. Number one, I didn't know with knotting that they, like...
Have you not? I told you to read Don't Look Back.
I did. Did I? I did.
The thing, fuck, no.
No,
not my genre.
The thing about it is that I didn't know that the knot lasts. It lasts for like 30 minutes. So they just hang out. No! They just hang out for a bit.
I hate it.
I thought knotting was like a regular, normal length of time. No, it's for like an hour and it hang out. Also,
no!
Have they never heard of fisting?
That's the same thing.
No, but he was like, "Oh, it's gonna hurt your vagina." I'm like, "Have you never seen fisting?"
That's disgusting. You should not put that in there.
I genuinely don't understand.
You put that in there. Someone you don't want to is gonna hear you say fisting.
Okay,
you have to take that out.
I've never seen fisting, but I've heard of it. And I know the concept.
I don't want to hear it or
anything. I'm not like as big as a gallon of milk.
Someone's gonna Google what it looks like now.
I'm like, what is it that you thought it was gonna break her vagina?
This is my petition to leave my body.
Biologically,
I'm no longer home.
Biologically, I don't understand.
No, make it stop.
The good thing that you're gonna love is that because they're not biologically compatible, they can't have kids.
Thank God. For small graces.
They don't want them, nor can they have them. Where are they now? Where's Serena?
Hell.
Owen has a receding hairline, so I just don't see him
Owen
having a happily ever after.
I don't forgive him because his name is Owen.
Owen's a fine name.
No, you don't have twins and name one Misery and one Owen. You're either a crazy person who names them both weird things like Elon Musk and
like,
Grimes.
Oh, and the dad is like still alive, but I don't know why. You wouldn't just off him. They're like, oh, we'll do an appropriate punishment for him. He tried to kill his own kid. I feel that's reason enough to be.
No, there's people who will never kill off anybody. They'll either try to redeem them or they will.
I have been carrying these "Where Are We Nows" on my fucking back.
Because I hate this category. Because to me, at the end, everyone is in hell.
Think of a different ending.
Unless it is Manacled or one of those, and then they exist and they live somewhere.
Think of it. Okay, well then it's your job.
People are real.
Then it's your job to think of a different segment for the end. Because my segment is "Where Are They Now?"
Every single one of them jail. They're all in jail.
What are they in jail for? For not knowing about fisting? They were a nice couple. They got to know each other.
A nice couple. They eat marshmallows and bar rainbows. Like, ew!
Yeah, they were.
No, they are
They weren't
They're in
related.
jail for their crimes against humanity and the sins that they have performed. The end.
No, listen, here. Wait. They are a nice couple. They do not share a sibling. Thank you for listening to Read It and Screech. If you'd like to support, you can always rate, review, and subscribe.
If I had stumbled on this podcast, one, I wouldn't listen to it. Or two, I would skip to the end every time and listen to how bad it was and then decide whether or not I was.
Oh, no, here's a question.
I'd be like, oh, last minute. Oh, no.
Did you know that nodding lasted 30 minutes?
Yeah.